Hello YouTube friends, this is Fossilsaurus again. I'm going to start going back and forth between doing unboxing and just going over some of the things that I have, just to kind of even it out so it is not mostly water organisms or mostly land organisms, etc. Now what I have here is what a lot of people might consider what is called a chunkosaurus, which is a piece of bone that, while it does have very specific features, just not enough that can be to where it can be attributed to any specific bone. An expert, I'm sure, could do so, but I would need an expert for that, a real one, probably from somebody working in a museum or something. I do know what this is based on location and what it was found with. This is an Edaphosaurus bone. The cool thing about it, though, is voila, that is a Dimetrodon bite. This was whatever part. I'm not an expert, of course, as I said. My just general impression is that this is some part of the hip or maybe shoulder. Probably not part of the skull, but one of those two. And very coolly, you have the tooth impression of what is almost definitely a Dimetrodon based on the size and depth of the tooth mark. I'm going to go over the Edaphosaurus, but not Dimetrodon, because I have quite a few pieces of Dimetrodon, and I am going to spend time going over Dimetrodon with those pieces. But we could just talk briefly about the very size. Dimetrodon did have different sized teeth. One of them was longer, so could easily, like the canine tooth, could easily have gotten in there without leaving too much damage from the other teeth here. Could have just been a very large one, and just that was the tip that was going in. But I think it's very awesome. I have always absolutely loved bones that have tooth scratches or tooth marks, just signs of something. Sometimes you have some that clearly have been digested because the way they're all holy and everything like that, so you can tell it was something that was eaten and swallowed. Now this, it doesn't really seem to have gone through a digestive system, so this may have just been part that was bitten and not eaten. But it's just like I was talking about with the footprints. It's not just a sign of death, it's a sign of life. You're looking at life. You're looking at an animal doing something. You're looking at an action. You're looking at a moment in time, a little dramatic story. This animal was running for its life, and the other animal caught up with it, got it, killed it, and ate it. I mean, that was the end of this animal's life, but it was a part of its life, and we can tell that. I mean, you can imagine it in your head and see it as a movie. It's just truly amazing to me what you can get from bones, not just scientific information, but, I mean, I guess that's all scientific information, but just some knowledge of what was going on, and being able to really, it kind of brings you, it's like a time machine, brings you back there in a way, brings you back to seeing what happened, to understanding what happened. This is more than an Edaphosaurus bone. This, I mean, you could call it a crime scene, but it's it's not just the death. It's death. It's moment of death, or it's moment of being caught. This could have been part of the bite that was being held down until it suffocated or something like that. I just couldn't say without knowing exactly what bone this was, but that is a very, very deep bite. So that was it was rough. I think you would have to look with a microscope to see if there was any real signs of healing. I can't tell. For all I know, it is kind of not rough right around the edges, but then on the inside down in there, it is kind of rough. So I wouldn't say that there's any healed bone inside there. Even if there was a little bit around the outside, that could mean something by itself. I'm just not sure. There's not bite on the other side, so there could have been a lot of meat here, and the bone is near the surface, so this tooth went into the meat, that one went into the bone, or it could have been other bones somewhere around here that the other jaw clamped onto, and then that bone is just missing. I mean, and we only have this one. So Edaphosaurus, their name means pavement lizard, because they have lots of teeth, just like a battery of teeth in the back of their throat, for crunching all kinds of vegetation and sticks and things like that. It's a synapsid, which has a single fenestral hole, which is an opening in the skull roof behind the orbit. And that's what a synapsid is. These guys are one of the earliest herbivores, or earliest large herbivore tetrapods. There were very few that reached close to this size before that, and they were probably just the ancestors of this that were working its way up. So nothing else was really comparable to these guys. They were everybody thinks of them as being Permian animals, but they actually were from the late Carboniferous into the early Permian. So they went through the minor extinction there, which is very cool. They're found generally in North America, but there's fragments been found in Central Europe. These guys, there's a number of different species of them, and they can have very large differences in size, as little as adorable little puppy-sized 1.6 foot cuties up to 11.5 foot big boys. 300 kilograms, 660 pounds. I mean, that's for the large ones. The little ones, I'm sure, were light enough that you could pick them up and cuddle with them. They had small heads for the bodies. A lot of animals like that did. Not super small heads in general, but for the body, it could look kind of weird. Something kind of cool with these is that their jaws moved. A lot of plant eaters had this happen, but not as many as early as this. The jaw moving, usually side to side to grind, but these guys, it was front to back, which was very, usually it's like side to side chewing, but I guess this was chewing, or maybe the underside was. It's just very weird. It's hard to imagine. Now, the sail, they had a sail like a Dimetrodon. It was different though, because they weren't just perfect lines. They had little crossbars. Just picture this much of my finger, little crossbars all up and down. So they looked very different. They were kind of prickly looking, very easy. They stand out very easily from like Dimetrodon spines and the spines of all the other animals that had sails, which is another weird point. People they still don't know what the sails were for, and there's lots of theories, and these days one of the most accepted theories is that it is for sexual display. But, and this is, I could be completely wrong, this is just my very personal opinion, that there were so many animals that had these big sails at the same time. There's different families of large herbivores like this, different kinds of large carnivores like this. There's a group called the Sphenectodons, and in the Sphenectodontide group, that includes the Dimetrodon and Edaphosaurus. There were quite a few sailback lizards with significant sails, not just little ones. And there was even a little amphibian guy who had massive sail on. And just one part of the world, one time in the world, convergently evolved. That was my point also, that they weren't all related, so that means that lots of different animals convergently evolved this very strange feature all at the same time. And that, to me, that cannot be just sexual display. That there has to be a real legitimate reason, a biological reason, why that made life easier, which points towards some of the other theories about like heat dispersal and stuff like that, which could make sense too, which a lot of people have moved away from, but that could easily fit with what I'm talking about. I can't really, I'm not going to say I'm pointing to this theory or not, but what I'm saying is that I just find the theory of sexual display to really not make any sense at all. You wouldn't have that many animals doing such, I mean, that's a lot of energy